Hi everyone. I hope you all can hear me, listen me very well. I'm Tushar Ojha, DevX at Social, and I'm really excited to have this presentation and this workshop in front of you. So this is a new platform which I'm trying right now in this metaverse. So if something goes wrong, if you are able to listen me properly, or if there's any issue, just let me know so that I'll correct that in between also. And I think it's the right time to start, and I want to share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see the screen. Right. Okay, so hi people. This is Tushar Ojha, DevX at Subsocial. In this particular workshop, we're going to talk about how you can build decentralized Instagram using Subsocial in under 50 minutes. So this sounds really interesting, and it is actually. So let's see first of all what Subsocial is and how this technology has so much power that you can create a decentralized Instagram so fast. So if we talk about how subsocial do all of this, so you first need to know about the subsocial parachain. So subsocial is a specially designed blockchain for decentralized social media, and we have all the necessary features, entities which are required for you to build your app and take it to the decentralization and Web3 ecosystem. So, like our blockchain today supports all the necessary entities like spaces, posts, domains, um, usernames, reactions, and every single thing which you might think of as a social media you see day to day. So we have all that in our blockchains directly, and you can use a JavaScript SDK to create dApps on top of it. So if we talk about like decentralized social media, then what's the problem right now in the market? So if you see the current social medias like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Discord, these are very censored. They face a lot of server down times, and like you don't own the content which you create. That means like if you are a full time YouTuber and YouTube takes down your YouTube channel, then all your content is gone. You cannot take it. You cannot take your audience with you on a new platform with all your content. So the social graph is very much limited in this world garden. So these are the five problems which are present today, and there's a huge monetization cut taken by these platforms, which you might already aware of. So for these five problems, we have one solution, that is subsocial. And there are a lot of examples in which you have seen these things happening, like Twitter banning some accounts, Facebook doing some like promoting hate speech um, for their own profit, and tons of things have been rumored in past, and these things have actually happened. They might have actually happened. So there is a big need for a social media where the users are the one who drives that social media rather than the centralized bodies. So for that, you can use subsocial, where we have a serverless public timeline. There's a censorship resistant subsocial at chain level, and if users want to have their own social media with some sort of moderation, then they can do it too using the spaces feature, so that it is censorship resistant. At the same time, you as a dApp creator can choose to opt in some type of content which you want to see on the platform in general. Like you can build an Instagram for cats only, where people will post about cats. So basically, like you can collect like-minded people using this as well. There will be roles and permissions, content creation, rewards, user governance, treasury, and every single thing which needs to be there to achieve that goal. And if you see the architecture here, this is our like overall broad architecture. I'm not going deep into that because this session is more about how we can build, but you should have the idea here that we have our like substrate blockchain, which have a lot of custom palettes about ownership, moderation, posts, roles, follows. And then on top of these, we are also using IPFS for storing the content like images, videos, and the post content. And these IPFS CIDs are mapped onto the blockchain. And then there is a subsocial JavaScript SDK that helps you interact with both IPFS and the blockchain. And like you can just flatten the response which you get from both of them and map it and like present it in a very good manner. And then the app layer comes where you as a dApp creator decides what you want to build, and then you use this JavaScript SDK, leverages its power to build a decentralized social media. You engage with wallets and stuff like that. So here is one example, like the Polkadot app, which we have, polkadot.com, which you can try to see how decentralized social media can be so good. And now let's like quickly see, I was mentioning about like this architecture, that what's the content structure. So we have a lot of like entities on the blockchain, but what sort of data is stored on chain and what sort of data is stored on IPFS, this is also very important, like for the basics, so that we can move ahead. uh, that on chain we store transaction hashes, content IDs, scores, reaction counts, and these things. And on the IPFS we store the actual content data. For example, like what is the description of the post, what if there is an image attached, and these things are stored on IPFS, and then these are mapped together. And we have a lot of challenges for you to build at this hackathon, and we would love to see what you build. To just walk through you on these challenges quickly, you can just go to this and see sub-social challenges. And I have also created this coda sheet, and on the Discord server, like on to the dots, on the dot community Discord server, you will see that sub-social section. All the challenges and bounties are clearly explained. We would love to see React component for comments, and plugin for WordPress to back up your project, allow people to back up their content they create on WordPress websites, social reputation and dashboard ranking, so that people can see which community members are very active and they can follow them and get inspired. We would love to see some Web3 social dApps which leverages the power of content monetization and makes helps the content creators make good amount of money. So we would love to see innovation in this direction as well. And every details are mentioned onto the Discord server. I'll share this link later on. Now, um, let's get started building the project which we are here for. And these are our learning resources. We have our playground starter. I'll explain you on the go about these things. But I think it's time for us to get started building stuff. So um, if you go to the documentation website of Subsocial, that is docs.subsocial.network, and in this develop section, here is everything you need to know about Subsocial and to get started here. So we have a JavaScript SDK which you can use, as I mentioned. So if you want to play around with the JavaScript SDK, we have something called a playground, where you, without downloading anything, you can just try to run a few programs and see how does these works. For example, I just choose a space ID and then I click on run, and just after that you can see the output of this API method. So I'm able to query this data from blockchain onto this website so easily with just 3 lines of code, and it's so simple to do it. And now we're going to implement it. So to create a decentralized Instagram, what I did, I we have something called like a developer quick start, in which we have a package or a template, you can say, for create React app called Subsocial Starter, which have everything configured for you, like wallet and connecting to the testnet and the mainnet and everything which you might need to get started building a dApp on Subsocial. So we have this thing so that it will kickstart you with this page where you are connected to the testnet. You can fetch some data, you can create some data, and that's it. So we're going to start from this point. We're going to create a new like project together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this command here, and I'm going to open the terminal. In this terminal, I'm going to go to the desktop directory and let's say Subsocial directory, and I'm going to make a new let's say, let's create a new project directly here. So let's rename this project from my app to uh, Insta3. Okay, this sounds cool. So just hit enter and it will automatically start creating the package for you. It will get all the necessary dependencies which you might need. And let's go back to this website and see. So this will give us like this sort of a website where everything else, like the configurations are here for us, like the APIs, the instance of the SDK API, and like, network configurations and everything. And also the wallet support is there. Next, we would need like a UI, user interface. So to save time and not to like in this session covering everything about how to design user interface for Instagram, what we will be doing, there is a very interesting project which is open source, and it was created like 3 years ago. So now let's use this project's user interface, like the UI part, and like connect it to the blockchain, and let's make it a decentralized Instagram in minutes. So if you see this project, it was a quite old project, but if you see here, like you select an image from here, You click on upload, and this is how like the image looks like. You can like and do a couple of stuff here, and you can choose to create new posts. So this gives us the whole like a broad idea of how things work in an Instagram, like where you if there's a general public timeline where you can post content and people can see the content which you have posted. So in a similar way, we're going to do it the minimalistic version way, and we're going to use this UI for it. So if you want to clone it, I've already cloned it. Clone it so that we can copy the UI and the SVGs and these things onto the project. So this is in progress, and if I walk you through about the project which I was showing to you, this I've cloned it. So there are like a couple of things here. Like it's very simple. Like there's just two components. One is feed, and the other is the new project which we want, like the new post UI which you want to create, and the header component. That's it. That's the only thing we have. So it's very simple and minimalistic UI. Let's wait for a few seconds for this to finalize so that we can get started. In the meantime, I'm going to walk you through about the playground and a bit more in detail about the entities. So if you go to the subsocial entities, there is something called a space, profiles, posts, and comments and reactions. So a space is a place like where there will be multiple posts in it. So like imagine space as a room, and there will be multiple posts, contents which will be there, which are associated. Like you create a new space for a new purpose, for a new sort of a community, and people you can decide to choose who can create new content in this. Like you can choose the permission who can post new content in this room, and then like everyone can follow it and enjoy the content and like go ahead with it. People can react to the posts which were created. So the space, and inside that there are posts, multiple posts, and each post can have multiple reactions, comments, and everything, right? So yeah, these are like the entities, and this is how it looks. So now this project is created. Let's go to this um, directory insta3. Okay, and I'm going to open it in the VS Code so that we can get started building it. So if you see in this, we have got like a subsocial folder in which we have this provider which we're going to use like through use context hooks in React. Awesome, no worries. Then what we have to do is first we're going to install all the dependencies using Yarn, and there are a few dependencies which we want to have from this UI, which is like one of them is I guess uh, the styled components. Okay, so we want the style components, and the other is uh, React router DOM. So we're going to have these as well. So we're going to say yarn add this. Okay, I'm going to install like just the dependencies which are needed, like this for the UI and React router DOM. Okay, so it's installing the dependencies. Meanwhile, we can also open the terminal here, and the commands to start this project is simply yarn start, and it will start the project once the dependencies are there with us. Uh, so yeah, it will take a few seconds up there. And meanwhile, what we can do now is that we have to copy a few things like the assets and these things, which are the part of the core UI rather than the functionality part which we want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and like copy a couple of assets, uh, the UI elements into this project so that we can use them. So there is a header component which we might need. So yeah, and inside this we have something called pages, and services is like it was planned to be a centralized solution so that the services contains the server side code which we don't need now because we're going to make it decentralized. So yeah, so we're going to paste other stuff here, right? Uh, if there's anything else needed. And if we go to see like how does okay, there is one file called routes.tsx, so which basically define like there are two different parts. One is the home part, and other is like when you create a new uh, post in that page. So that is it. And if you see the app.tsx and index.tsx file, so app.tsx contains like this browser router and these two routes basically, header and the route. So we're going to use this only. so that we can complete this stuff. So here we have, like, in this, if you, whenever you create a new starter app, you will get a lot of documentation and the code of how you can fetch. So if you see in this, like, we got this context, and we'll get the, is API ready, what's the current network, are we on testnet, mainnet, if you want to change that network, to create that space, and how you get the network name. And a couple of methods are available already for us to create content and save content. Tons of things are there, but we don't need to have all of these at this point of time. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, like, remove this stuff for now, because we don't need it. And then this also, I'm going to uh, do it like this. So we just need this sort of thing for now. Okay, and let's import. Let's have the import for the necessary things. Only. Okay, we need to add React router DOM. We need to have header, and we need to have apps. Cool, perfect. So now what we have here, if we do, like, let's see if this packages are installed. Perfect. Now we're going to do yarn start to start this project and see if we have already got the UI elements, or if there's something missing which we need to fix. I'm going to meanwhile connect my laptop and a charger. Give me a second for that. Okay, one second. You can see this development process in. Okay, we're gonna remove this services reference from the files. So if we go to the header and this the pages folder, new index, and we need to remove the reference for this because we don't have or need the services. We need to have our own thing here. So yes, we're gonna remove this. Yeah, let's see if we see something up here now. Okay, we are good. Okay. Uh, Okay, yeah. So what's happening here is we should probably see the stuff. If we are on the app.tsx file, we have this header and this routes page. If we go to the routes page, we see something. Okay, we need to have like this routes in this, and we're going to import routes from here. Routes as, let's say, R, and we're going to rename this as R and this stuff, so that the routing in the React router DOM is set up correctly. And if we refresh this page now, we should see something up here. Let me see what else is needed for it. In the new page, we have this UI. Is there any logs? Create router inside the router. Okay, got it. So here we have this browser router, and in this also we have this browser router. So we have to remove one of them. Let's remove this particular. Let's try. Yeah. Now you can see this UI here. So it's empty UI. If you click on here, you will see this UI to create a new post. And if you click on Instagram again, then you don't see anything. Here the feed will come, which we're going to implement now. So for this, to see how you're going to connect it to the blockchain now, this is the thing which you're going to explore. So first of all, as I mentioned in past, that there is something called a space, which is the underlying thing for holding the content in a particular room. So we need that room for now. So to create that room, one is that we create logically from here and write the code for it. Secondly, we can also go to the playground and write like create a like a space for us directly inside this and use this to in our app. So we need to set some permission. So let's go to the docs. We what we want in that permission section, like you can just click on open docs, and what we want in the permission is that everyone should be allowed to post in this space, so that it is an open space, not just the followers or the space owner, but everyone should be allowed to do it. So what we're going to do, we're going to rewrite this thing, and we'll say everyone. um Okay, so we just have to pass this as a flag, and when we create a new post, um, we should it's automatically started to do a transaction for us, and it will give us the space ID which is there, which we're going to use. Now, in the meanwhile, it will take a few seconds, like it's broadcasted the transaction, and then it's going to be in block, and then it's finalized, and then you will get the new ID, right? In the meanwhile, what we're going to do, we're going to see the project code and how we're going to use it. Okay, so now we don't need to worry about these couple of files, like the routes and this files, app.js files. Now we have to just think of these two files. New file, which is there to help us create a new Instagram post, and the other is feed file, which is going to like render all the posts for us. So if we are here and we see a couple of things here, that we have a method called like, there's a state to maintain the new post, and then there is a method which creates things into the form data, which we don't want for now. So I'm going to comment them, and I'm going to remove a couple of things here. And here what we have to do is write logic to post it on subsocial space, a new space which we're going to create. So you see the transaction status is in block, and then like this transaction will be finalized, and we'll see the CID of this new space, the identity of this new space. So that ID we're going to use to post new content. So this is the new ID, which is 1064. If you see, so we're going to use this particular ID only. I'm going to define it on top of it. The const space ID is equals to, what was it? 1064, I guess. Yeah. So this is done now. We're gonna remove this couple of stuff here. And what we have to do now is to take this thing and post it, right? We want this to be posted. So we have to use the subsocial context now. Now this is how we're going to connect to the blockchain. Just see very clearly. So this is how we're going to leverage the starter. So you just do const, and then this use context, and pass the subsocial context in this, like this, and now you can find things from it. For example, I want to get the API here, so I did this. Now I have the instance of the API already of that SDK. So what I do, I'll first of all check if this API is not empty. If this is empty, then there is no means to go further. But yeah, if this API is ready, we can use it. Now we're going to write the logic for it. And how do you do that? You go to the docs again, and there is something called SDK cheat sheet, which you can use to do a couple of stuff. You can also use the playground to do it. But yeah, whichever you like. So let's say I want to write data as a post, so I can use this thing for creating it. And if we also go to the playground, there is an option to create a regular post. So this is the code that we want to uh, copy and use. So I'm going to copy this code and go back here, and yes. So we have this API.ipfs to save the content, and this IPFS content, or whichever things we like to use. Now, what we have to do is that we have to follow the schema type which we already have, right? So we're going to use the same thing here, since we are already getting. So the first, like in any Instagram sort of thing, like the most important thing is the image. So we get to store that image on the IPFS first. So how do you do that? We are already getting this image as a blob, right? We are already getting the image as a blob here, and we're going to use this image blob and store it onto the IPFS. How do you do that? Like we're going to just say const image CID, okay? That's the identification of the stored file, and to that we say API dot IPFS dot save file. Okay, you just say save file, and then mention the file, exact file. So the file is in this case, which we were using, was post dot image. Okay, so just with this command, the image will be stored on the IPFS. That's it. You get the image stored on the IPFS, and you get the identification of this. Now we're going to use this identification into the content that we save like this. This is how we're going to use it. Now, what other things which are very important? The author, the place, and the description and other stuff. So we're going to say the author, and we're going to use the same property like post.author. What's the other property? Place. So we're going to do similar things, post.place, and the other properties are description. So rather than having a fixed description, we're going to use the user defined description. And what's next? Hashtags. And we're going to do post dot. That you can define any schema you like in this thing directly, and you will be good to go, right? So we are done this thing. Now we have also the space ID is already set on top. Now we can just create this transaction. So we have API.blockchain API, and then get the transaction API here, and then we create this post transaction substrate API.tx.post dot create post, and now we're going to create the post in this space. This is a regular post, as like passing a flag. There could be a shared post as well, like a retweet, and then the IPFS contents CIT here. So you have to add this IPFS content. Sorry, you have to add this as well. So to do that, IPFS content CIT, you can uh, you can directly use the wrapper which we have, like uh, so basically getting the type for this IPFS content. So you can do something like IPFS content from APIs. You can get it from uh, filters and wrappers basically. Not subsocial API dot subsocial dot flatteners. So we okay. This hypo as content. Okay, and we should be able to get this from few of filters. We have like defined this inside the filters, which you can directly leverage there. So I'm going to get this particular method out there. You can check if you want to see exact thing where it is. So what you can do is you can just go to this playground doc which we have mentioned here, and in that or like on top you will see we defining this particular thing directly. So for this IPFS content, we go to the transaction post. This is the logic for creating a post. Yeah, this is here in the subsocial slash types in the classes. This is where you have this thing, subsocial slash types, subsocial API slash types. Okay. What else do you need here? Like you created a post. Now what you have to do is, well, like you have this post transaction, but you have to send this transaction to the blockchain. And to sending this transaction to the blockchain, you will need a wallet to sign the transaction, and then you're going to send it. So for that as well, we have something called Polkadot.js, which is provided through the starter, which we like initially used to create the project, and then we can directly like get all the accounts here, and this will return us with all the accounts which are available, like const accounts. So it will give us all the accounts. And then when we want to send a transaction, we can just say polka.js dot sign and send the transaction. And the transaction is this post transaction, this transaction we want to send. And the account ID is basically from which account. There could be multiple accounts in the wallet. So you can just choose um, any particular account ID. For example, I'm going to just use the first one here, uh, and then you want to pass some callback, so that what happens when this is called, like this is successful. So for now, like we can use like we have this polka.js dot log transaction. So we're going to pass this. So it will basically log these transactions onto the terminal for us, and we will be good to use this. Um, so we have to just fix this IPFS content entry point. So let me check this thing out quickly. So we do the configuration. Please look at YouTube. Okay, this is we have to get it from. Cool. Okay, so we got this IPFS content now. If we go to the app again, let's open it in the browser Brave because I remember the password for it. Then we have to open this local host. So yeah, now we should we click here. We have to choose some file to upload. I'm going to also open the logs so that we see if this new post is created successfully or not. So let's choose some image here. Um, I have this sort of a stars image. We use it. I'm going to say hi, uh, hello, what's up? Some random data here, and uh, so as soon as I click on this button, it should like first of all upload this image, and then you will see this popped up. So it uploaded that image onto the IPFS, and now this transaction dialog box has popped up to ask me to sign this transaction and so that it can send this to the blockchain. If I remember it correctly, the password. Now you see that the transaction is being ready. It's being broadcasted, and in the similar way, it will go through all the events like ready, broadcast, sent, and then boom, like it's added on the blockchain and it's in block and finalized. So that's how you create a post. Now you can see the current status is in block. Now what you need to do next is that you have stored some content onto the blockchain. You have to read it. So to do that, we're going to go here and we're going to rewrite some code in this particular thing. So we have like this method called load request, which we're going to run in this use effect hook. So how we do that? Um, to we're going to again like use the context which we had. So we're going to say const. If you're following, let me know, and if you have any doubt, just ask. So yeah, we're going to again use the subsocial context in this from because we created this project from the starter, and then we're going to use this API. Okay, perfect. Now what next? So we have to basically ensure that whenever the API state is ready, we have to run this load request again. So in this load request, what we are essentially doing is we are going to fetch from the space ID and then map it into post so that people can see in this feed, right? So we have to fetch the data. So you can go back to the uh, develop section and like the SDK cheat sheet to get reading data of posts, and you can find a post by an ID or find a post by space ID. Find a post by space ID will help you to get all the posts inside that space ID. We have to ensure that the post which we are using there is the space ID which we are using there is same which we have here. So I'm going to make sure we are using the same space ID. Now what we have to do is we have to first check if this API is available, then only we're going to proceed. So if this API is not available, we're going to not proceed with doing this stuff. So we're going to get post ID from the space ID, and then we'll find all the posts. And let's say for now only, I'm going to just log these posts, and then we're going to map it to the UI part. So you see that this is in block, and the transaction is finalized. We're going to go on this page, and I'm going to try to see if we are able to get some data up here uh, for preference. So for now, the arrays are coming empty. If we go to the subsocial playground again, and we're going to try to get feed data. We're going to go to the space ID, and the space ID was 1064, right? So we're going to say 1064 in this. We're going to click run. So as of now, it's coming empty. That the post is not there yet. So we're going to try create a new post up here. Like choose an image. Just get some image here, right? This one. Just put some title and write some content, sign this transaction, send it. So this do the first part of it. It's going to create the post, and after that, once this is done, we can go ahead and see fetch the post data. So how it looks like, it's going to fetch the post from the space ID. It will get all the IDs of the post here, and then we're going to get all the posts from that ID. And in this, we get the content like an array of posts, and we have the content and the other properties which are stored on blockchain itself, right? So what we're going to do for them now, we have to map those into this sort of the post thing so that we can use it. So for that, we can do something like post dot map, and for each we can do something, right? Uh, and this thing which is coming is basically feed the feed array, and for what we are doing here is that e dot content which we get so is the same as these few things. So we're going to do this only e dot content. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get all the things like we need for the here, like title and tags and body and everything. We're gonna just say it is like as a post. So like because the content which we are getting from here should be as a post. So we map it into as a post structure, and then what we need is likes. Let's say likes are zero for now, or okay, we can get the likes data. Yeah, so let's see if that post is created here. Go back. Let's refresh. So what we are doing here essentially is that we are trying to map this feed, which the post data which we are getting, and mapping it to the proper feed structure which we have here for each post. That's our goal here. So for that, like we have to, as I said, like we have to map to every single thing, every item, and in that every item we will get the P here, and we have to map this P as a post which we get here out of it. So this should be as the post. Like this should be type of post, right? So we can just say as post sort of thing, and the properties which it should return is basically author, who's the author. Wait a second, please. Feed will get the post data from here, and then we want the author and these properties to be filled in as per the post. Okay, so we have to use the properties like author similar way. So for those properties, what we can do is we're going to use the p dot content dot this content would be coming as like a as a map, right? So we're going to pass these properties like because we created a new structure standard one. So we're going to have it like this only. So author and the other properties which we want are place. So we're going to have this place thing, and what are the other properties that we need is image is what we're going to convert description. So we're going to get this description right here. Uh, yeah, and this is not needed once we do it. Right? Okay, let me check. There's some issue in this. App. The goal here is we get the post dot content and we place this content into our website, and we have to map it according to the feed that I propose. Right. So we have this author feed dot content. We get the author properties from here and the other properties as well. So it has to be like this only. And then the place property which we're also going to get. This, okay, got it. Sorry. Yeah. So description, property, content property, uh, and what other properties are there? The hashtags, I guess. Yeah, hashtags, and basically all the properties which we defined earlier. We have to make sure that we get all these properties again in this so that we can use it in the UI part. So we got the hashtags, then likes. So for this likes as well, we have on the blockchain itself, we have the reaction count which we're going to use here. So for that, what you can do, you can just say p dot structure dot upvotes count. So this is the likes, number of likes which your post has received from the blockchain structure. This is coming from the blockchain structure directly. So we have author, place, description, hashtags, and we also need image. So for that, we're going to use that as again content. Uh, and then this image. The reason why we are doing it like this, and now this image is coming as to us as an CID, like basically, and then so we have to create the URL from the CID using the IPFS. So we are using Crust, so we're going to append it with the Crust URL so that we can use it inside the IMG tags and everywhere else. So make sure to do that when you are using that image tag, and what other properties like created at and updated at are something which you can also use. So this will give us the feed array, and then we can set that feed from this feed property, and yeah, this is going to automatically update that part there for us. Now the last things which we want, like, and once we set this feed, it will automatically update this feed URL here, and we have to append this with the uh, crust basically GW dot, because we are on testnet right now. Websites, just check for that configuration so that you will know the endpoint for it. So we're going to get the STP sheets, testnet, and this is the URL. So, so we get the image, everything, and this is automatically going to be used there. And we set this feed. Uh, this property is as a post we are sending. So what's missing from this is required post. Underscore ID is missing the type. So we're going to also pass the ID basically, and the ID would be structure dot ID and pass whatever it is. The response that's ID p dot structure dot ID. So this can be used as a unique identifier. So we have this feed set right now, and this feed should render as the content is created in this URL. Okay. So for now, for some reason, it's not showing us the list of content which we are trying to create from this UI part here. If I Let me try once again. So I'm gonna use some other image. Maybe the image files are very big. So let me try to use some other images. Okay. Yeah, let me try to use one of my image, and let's say okay, uh, description, some tags, and click. Okay, okay, okay. Not two times. Yes, or pressed it a couple of times. If you, sorry, the transactions is ready and it's being broadcasted. What you have to ensure is that you also have the balance to do the transaction. And when you want to have the balance, what you have, or like when you want to get some tokens to this, just go to a Discord server, which is the link is here, and use this command with your Polkadot.js address so that it will automatically give you some test tokens onto the test mint, which is soon social X. So yeah, this is pretty much how you can use the SDK which you saw right now, and the starter package and the playground and everything to make any user interface which you see, like the Instagram user interface, everything, to have uh, the the actual data which we want to be like, making it, connecting it to the decentralized backend. So that's the purpose of this whole um, presentation. Now if you want to like add features like how do I make a like to a particular post and this sort of thing, then what you can do in this, like we get the ID here. So ID is probably like when there is a list of items. So let's say, let me check. So we get feed.map.post, and when someone clicks on the like button, let's see, yeah, this is the likes button, right? And who's calling this method, handle like, and like this method is calling the handle like button with the post underscore RT. So this is the ID of the post which we want to like. Then we can go ahead again, just use the SDK sheet and this playground to see how you can use the reactions feature and do a couple of things. So I want to create a new reaction. I just go here. I want to do this thing. I copy this. And I'll paste it like this. Now I have this post ID already, which is the ID I'm getting from it, getting from here. So I'm just going to check if this API is, make sure that the API is always available, and then making it asynchronous. Perfect. Now we are already good. We just have to use this post ID. That's it. It will automatically going to like it and to just send the transaction. Again, we are just going to use what we use here, like the Polkadot.js extension to send the transaction for the user. Import it. This is the actual transaction, this particular transaction. So whenever someone is going to click the like button, it is going to use the SDK to call the method create post reaction and use this ID and the upvote. That means like, and then it's going to call the wallet again, and then wallet will use the address, and this is going to ask the user to go and sign the transaction. So this is how the whole decentralization of a front end, like you can use the front end and connect it to any decentralized back, and that's how it looks like. Um, there has been like we are working on improving it a lot and lot to make it more seamless experience. I would recommend you to just go ahead onto the Telegram groups and the channels which are there, and try to experiment with the SDK onto this playground, so that you will have a better understanding of different entities and how different things work in general. So yeah, this is the main goal of it. These are all the developer resources, like the starter templates, quick reference guide. I explained you SDK methods, reference guides, testnet, what's it on Discord, and a couple of things. If you need any support, there are things available, and I'm already always available onto our channels. Just feel free to ping me anytime you want, and I'll be there and happy building on some social. And if you have any queries, any doubts, do let me know now and also on these channels. I'll help you out there. So yeah, I think I took a bit more time, but yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, if you, I'm going to quickly take a few questions which are there in the chat. Let me just see one of them. Yeah, sorry, I didn't saw that you people were suggesting in between. Thanks, Jamal, for suggesting this API and substrate wrappers. Yeah, I missed it. Thanks. What are there? Is there any questions? People are already smart. Let's say I have multiple spaces in my social app. How can I fetch information from all those posts in one go? So, Jamal, to do that, we introduced our subsocial GraphQL. So you can use that GraphQL to query it very easily. Like I will show you right now, so that just go to this page, and here you will see the subsocial GraphQL. So just use this. This is our GraphQL endpoint. You can use it with any like Apollo client or any client you want, and just query it like you query any other GraphQL server, like with your own query, with whatever posts are there and whatever things and whatever content you like. You can just customize your query and just throw it at it, and it will respond you like this immediately in the one go. If that's what you are asking. How does subsocial ensure that the other social platforms cannot access information on my space, sort of like a authorization? Sorry, I didn't get this particular question. Like how subsocial ensures the other platforms cannot access information on my space. So usually, like the content which you create is open source and is in public. So if you're creating something in public, that means because of like what Web3 ethos means, that if I wrote something in public, it's open source, it's on chain, then I expect like anyone can see it, right? We are working like on some encryption algorithms which you can use at the front end level as well. Like if you want to, yeah, private chat. So what you can do is you can try to implement these things about like the encryption logics onto the front end, as well as they could be possible on the blockchain level as well. But it's very hard to do this thing on the blockchain. We are like figuring out. But on the front end, of course, you can do if you want to make all the content which the creator creates encrypted. But then there's this dilemma that the creator, not all creators on your platform will like this, because again they are binded to your platform because you have that encryption key for the content that they're going to create now. It's centralized, so you don't want that either. So this sort of dilemma is there in this thing. You have to figure it out. But yeah, this is the way you can do it. And you can also use the Polkadot keyring and these libraries, which also provides you encryption. So if I want to encrypt something for you, I can use your key and encrypt it using this keyring library. So yeah, that is one thing. But it is more one to one rather than a group. So yeah, uh, is private chat possible? So yeah, I explained it. It is possible, but that's how you do it. How do I know my space ID? I mean, like I remember it. So that I can load posts from them. So technically, like it's likely yes, because the space ID is your room. So if you are in a hotel and like where all your friends are, so you technically have to remember that hotel room, else you will be lost. Or you should know where your other friends are, or if you know how you can reach them, because if you can reach them, you can see which spaces they are interacting it, and you can get that space ID back again. And also these space IDs are very much aligned to you, so you can see like all the spaces you have created so far, because it's on chain. So transparency is 100%. So there's very like I don't think there will be any case where you will lost a particular space ID. You can just find it, because if you have created it, you will know. If you have interacted with it, you will also know on chain, because things are like someone is like whatever you do, the actions are on chain and the history is very well maintained. So you won't lost it like for now while developing it. It's ideal to use, if there's just one space ID, use it in a global configuration or something like that. Yes, use the address to fetch the post. Yeah, yeah, works. uh, Any other questions, anyone? So yeah, and also know the space ID attached to volatiles. Yes, you can do all sort of these things, because if the data is on chain, then you can access it the way you like, right? That's the beauty of Web3, and that's why we all are here. So if anyone have any other question, ask me. There are lots of interesting challenges that we have for you all to build on. There are four challenges of different categories with different sort of innovations that could be done there. So just try to find out which interests you the most. If you are a GraphQL person, then you can go with the reputation and those things. If you want to build a new app, social app that allows creators to make some money, because on Web2 more than 50% like income is being consumed by these platforms, and they take a huge cut and they are very proud of it. We can we can remove that as well. So just think of the ways you can use this. And yeah, there are two more challenges for WordPress, so that if I'm creating my personal blog on WordPress, you can create sort of a plugin where whatever the post I'm creating, it will automatically back up on some social blockchain, and publish it on the WordPress marketplace. Go to our Discord and you'll find all the descriptions clearly. And if you want, there's mentorship hours as well, which Levin going to tell you in detail. So you can just schedule call 15-minute quick sync ups, and yeah, and Telegram chat as well. So that was it from my side. It was happy talking to you, building in front of you. Uh, every session I learn a lot, and in this session I learned that the audience is very active, and they were there helping me. So I should have looked there as well. So yeah, thanks people.